Hello everyone! Check out this beautiful Life Crafted album spread done by my dear friend Natalie. We are celebrating her reaching 500 subscribers on her YouTube channel today. There's a whole bunch of people joining us. You can get the entire lineup in the description box below. Since Natalie also is a big fan of Life Crafted albums, I thought I'd just continue working through and catching my books of 2021 album up, and I'm going to scrap lift the layout I showed at the beginning. I think at the end of this, I don't know that I scrap lifted this exactly. I kind of went my own direction once I started to get going, but I did use it as a jumping off point, so that totally counts, right? Right. Okay. So I want to do some stamping on this. I have orange peel and aquatini inks to match my book cover. And I have put onto my block a set of 3 stamps. Actually, I think is it 3 or 4? It's 3. So what I've done here is I've inked up a set of 3 stamps. My stamp set that I'm using today is from Kelly Stamps. It's her book stamp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own kind of pattern paper. So first off, first stamp I stamped, I had one of the stamps upside down, which was not what I wanted. So I'm going to kind of reset it onto my acrylic block, and then we'll start over. So I'm going to offset this a little bit, and I'm just going to do like a repeat stamping pattern. I went, I think, about halfway up by putting all 3 of these stamps on one stamp block. So what I'm doing is I'm inking up the stamp set really well, and then I'm only stamping once but getting all 3 of those stamps, and then I'm kind of alternating the way that it is stamped so that it doesn't line up. I don't want it to be lined up. I want it to look like a piece of pattern paper I made myself. The best way to do that is to kind of offset your stamping. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little, right around half of this. I'm going to do about half of this with the aquatini ink. So once I got about halfway up or so, I cleaned my stamp really good, and then I just started the top part with orange peel ink. Orange peel ink, I think, is like my favorite orange ink ever. And I'm just going to continue on till I have completely stamped this entire piece of white cardstock. So I have my cardstock sized down to fit inside my pockets. So I have my Life Crafted album from Citrus Twist Kits, and I just sized my paper to fit inside a full page pocket. Both of these sides of the spread are going to go in a pocket. So I'm going to keep stamping till I have completely filled in this entire sheet of white cardstock. And then I've gone ahead and pulled together some pattern papers from my TN sized paper. So I have a separate place where I keep pocket life cards and traveler's notebook sized papers. These are from a lot of different places. This striped one is from Kelly Perky, and then I think that diagonal stripe one's from Kelly Perky too. Some of them might be Tracy Reed Principles. I'm not 100% sure. I really just picked my colors and my embellishments to match my book cover. So the book I'm documenting today is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. If you've not read this book yet, I highly recommend it. It was so good. There's a wood veneer that I use on this spread that says like my favorite so far. This still, it's like the end of May. This is still my favorite book that I read so far this year. It was so good. So if you've ever read it, let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you thought of it. I thought it was just excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this kind of diagonal stripe aqua colored paper to kind of cover up that middle part of my stamped background. And now I have a couple of things I need to stamp that I stamp on all or most of my book layouts. So I want to make sure that I leave myself room to write down the name, the author of the book, like this little book review stamp. And I'm just going to do that with black ink because I want to add some epoxy flair to this a little bit later. And I want to use some black and white flair from Scrap and Happy Studio. So I know that I need to bring in this kind of like pop of black and white. So I'm going to use this book review stamp. This book is from that same Kelly stamp set. Then I also have my star review stamp, which I also use on just about every page of my book album to document how many stars each book gets. This one was a solid 5 stars. So good. And so I'm just going to go ahead here, kind of decide where I want it. On Natalie's layout, she used this side of her spread to put a stamped title. So this is kind of like the title of my layout, I guess. Natalie's spread now has like a diagonal of clusters that go from the top left to the bottom right. I'm going to mimic that with some flair from Dottie About Flair and some epoxy flair from Scrap and Happy Studio. But first of all, I want to give my flair a base to help them pop away from that stamped background. Sorry if you can hear Fitz whining in the background. He was not happy to be in the scrapbook room with me. He wanted out. I am going to use this sticker book from scrapbook.com. It has, I think it's the Sherbert sticker book. Anyway, it has the perfect color like aqua and orange labels that I want to use. And I'm just going to hit them with my powder tool so I can move them around and decide what I want to do. I'm going to use them to kind of back my different clusters of flair. The reason I'm doing that is to kind of separate them from my stamped background so they don't just blend in, but they are kind of separated and can hold their own so they don't get lost. Just going to grab a little bit of foam tape, put them on the back of the flair, which is going to help me to adhere them to my page. And by using the foam tape, I'm not adding any more bulk, which lets me put these pages right into my Life Crafted album page protectors without even a problem. They just slipped right in. So I'm going to go ahead and add my epoxy flair. And you can see how those labels really, really help you to kind of see the flair and they're not getting lost on the page. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish this side of my spread off with a wood veneer from Color Cast Designs. So let's do the other page. We're going to keep this side of our page super simple. So we have a little bit of a busy page going on the left. So on the right, we're going to create just a column. So I'm going to put my photo right in the middle. I'm going to pop my star review stamp all filled in and backed underneath the book cover. And then I just want to add a little something up to the top. Nothing, I don't want anything that's going to be too busy, just a little something to kind of complete that column. And so I'm going to grab one of the offcuts of this stripy paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp 2 of the stamp sets. I'm going to stamp the book and then this stamp set that said eat, I think it said eat, sleep, read, repeat, something like that. Or eat, sleep, read. And I'm going to fussy cut the books out. And I'm just going to tuck those up at the top above my photo. I'm going to grab 2 more stamps. I kind of want to fill out this little block I kind of have going at the top. So I'm just going to grab my black ink. I'm going to use the One More Chapter stamp, which is from the One More Chapter stamp set from Wild Whisper. And I think I grab something really small. I think it just said good read or something like that to kind of fill in that little gap above my picture. And that is where we're going to call this spread done. I am almost completely caught up in this album, which means I am keeping up with it for 2021, which makes me super happy because I really don't want to have an unfinished project at the end of the year. I hope you all have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye.